My name is Brian Buckley, and I am the assistant music director, and I help to prepare the orchestra for our production. You know, The Sound of Music is a phenomenal story, and there's a unique challenge for students to take them back in time and to play characters that have very real world issues at the time, but at the same time, very human issues that never change regardless of circumstance. So taking them out on that journey and letting them explore that has been very fun and interesting to watch. Collaboration in theater. Theater doesn't work without collaboration. It's that simple. There's too many moving parts that for one thing to not be spinning. Other things can keep that moving, but only for so long. There's hadn't thought of this until now. There's some old statistic from the Apollo missions where they said, 10 million things have to go right. So even if 99.9% of goes well, that half of or a tenth of a percent makes a high impact on things that we have to recover from. So yeah, it's absolutely critical, no question about it. So.
Yes, my name is Joe Jackson. I am the choreographer for our senior school musical, The Sound of Music. I think The Sound of Music is a great opportunity for our students to do a classical Broadway show. Rodgers and Hammerstein, one of the best writing teams ever, and their music is timeless. The story, it's a love story, so it's a wonderful opportunity for our students to have that chance to do this kind of story, and it's such a recognizable piece as well. Not to mention with today's current sort of political landscape, there are themes in the show that are still relevant today. I think that as the choreographer for high school students is that I want to always challenge them. So there are times where I might have an idea for a piece of choreography that I have to see how it works on our students, because the goal is to make them look their best and have them feel proud of their show. And so if they're being asked to do choreography that is beyond their ability, it's not going to look right. It's not going to put them at their best to succeed. So that was probably the most challenging thing, is just to find choreography, to develop choreography that looked good on them. Well, collaboration can take a lot of different forms. I think I see collaboration in this show in such a particular way. With our students. I see our students, the cast, working so hard to help each other, right? To sort of pick each other up when someone has a dropped line, or a moment where they're not able to deliver their fullest vocally, right? So their collaboration is awesome, to see them helping each other backstage with props and costumes, to see the cast, the crew, to see this amazing orchestra working in a way that we've never had since I've been here, has been really amazing. So that part of collaborating with all the different areas, from cast to crew to orchestra, and seeing it all come together has been really fun to watch.
So my name is Tim Hevner, and I am the music director for The Sound of Music production this year. I think its familiarity makes it a huge challenge. People, again, grow up watching the movie and think, oh, I know all of these songs. And when you start to put it together in the context of the show, I think people tend to underestimate the richness of the music that's there, the quality of writing in Oscar Hammerstein's words, in Richard Rodgers' music, and the the sophistication of a Hammerstein score, and a Roger Rogers score, all of the ways that the various elements of theater are brought together in word, in dance, in music. And I think it's easy to take a show like this and underestimate exactly how much work goes into putting it all together and recreating the piece. Any musical is a marriage of song, dance, and word. It's always a storytelling, and the story can be told in so many different ways. And I think one of the brilliant aspects of Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals in particular is that they both understood that in a very complex way. When we get to The Sound of Music, this is their last show together. They had created so many wonderful shows before this, The King and I, South Pacific, Oklahoma. And so by the time they've reached this point in their careers, they, I think, had a very intimate knowledge of how to work together to create a theatrical piece that is a perfect marriage of song and dance and word. And this is really the two of them at the height of their powers, creating a very sophisticated and frankly very difficult piece to bring all of those elements together. This is a beautiful example of what musical theater can be. It's always a joy to conduct, and it's especially fun to have such a large orchestra. And it's always nice to have all of these different colors to play with, to bring into the drama. And again, some of the masterful writing that goes into this is knowing when the strings will be the right mood to uplift a scene, or when we really need to bring in the other powers that are there. So it's a very three-dimensional sound, having all of these aspects to work with to infuse the drama with life and color where it's needed. It's especially thrilling for me to have a student orchestra and for them to know the joy of playing in a pit and being a part of a drama. In this, you're not just a flute player. You are the voice of Maria at this moment, or you are the distant call of the mountains. So I hope that the students who are playing this really feel their commitment and their contribution to the drama as a whole.
My name is Nathan Bell. I'm the technical director for the show, and for this production I actually am also serving as the scenic designer. Sure, the design process is always an interesting and unique challenge. Starts out with reading the script, familiarizing yourself with the material, making lists of what locations you're going to need to portray in the show, and then collaborating with other members of the creative team to make design decisions about what those specific scenes look like and how we approach the shifting in between various locations throughout the show. Collaboration is huge in theater, and we have a wonderful creative team here at the school. Between Mr. Griffin, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Buckley, Mr. Hebner, and I, we have people focusing on performance, scenery, music, all of those different aspects, and we all work together to really put on the best show that we can for the students that are involved, both on stage and off. And every person has a different element interested in, and that they're skilled at that particular aspect, and luckily we're all able to put our heads together in a collaborative way. I think that makes the finished product look really good. Notice how everything moves in this show. Nothing stays put throughout the entire show, and that's something that when I'm putting together scenery, I love the surprise that can be offered when you have something that looks like a grand curving staircase float magically across the floor. And so some of those types of little pieces of trickery that we use were achieved in this show to, I think, pretty good effect, and were not easy.
My name is Matt Griffin, and I am the director of tonight's performance of The Sound of Music. The Sound of Music was the very first musical that I ever saw. I saw it with my grandmother It was a rerun on television of the 1965 film starring Dame Julie Andrews. And I think most people have that lens when they see the show. And what I want audiences to know is that this is not the film. Whereas the film focused on Julie Andrews and her presence and her star power, this theatrical show is a tour de force of ensemble. The kids have a more full and rounded voice. They all have more strong personalities. There are more shades of gray, and they don't sugarcoat some of the more difficult themes that are present in the play. I really think that this show is important and timely because of the thematic elements present in the show. Not just the love of a father for his children, or the love of a brand new mother. Maria has never had kids before, and the ones that she loves are not her own. It's also a show about integrity and standing up for your beliefs in the face of almost certain death and danger. And Captain Von Trapp and his entire family represent that resilience. It's a lesson that we can keep to this day, with white supremacists and neo-Nazis feeling like it is okay for them to spout hate and abuse at people. It's important to understand that principle counts, that we are a community that strives together for a better future. That's one of the lessons in The Sound of Music, and I hope that the audience feel the joy and the love, and I hope that they feel hope. Collaboration is the bedrock of theater making. Theater doesn't get made without it. We all work together to achieve the same goal, and that is a successful production for our students that is both entertaining and educational to an audience. All of us are striving towards that goal. Our crew and cast and orchestra all collaborate together to make the most effective performance for audiences possible. It's really breathtaking to watch. It's important to remember the historical context of The Sound of Music. It is taking place in 1938 in Austria, which was undergoing what was called the Anschluss, which was an integration of Nazism into Austria. And about 80% of the population of Austria was actually in favor of Hitler, who was from Austria, taking over the country. It became a bastion for people who really seemed to believe that Hitler was the answer. And so he took it over quite easily. Now, the others that resisted Hitler were the Jewish population, the LGBT population, and those that felt that fascism was wrong. And Captain Von Trapp and his family were part of that group. They felt that fascism was wrong. And they left, they escaped. Now, not through the Alps, as the show would have us believe, but by a train. And I don't think that their struggle is diminished by the dramatic license that was used to create the show. I think it heightens it. I want audiences to know that this show is about so much more than just the singing and the dancing. And I hope you enjoy.